Black Americans have been the only real die-hard Americans here, because we're the only ones who've carried the process through the process. That everyone else has sort of like skipped stages. We're the ones who marched, we're the ones who carried the Bible, we're the ones who carried the flag, we're the ones who tried to go through the courts. And being born American didn't seem to matter, because we were born Americans, but we still had to fight for what we were looking for. And we still had to go through those channels and those processes.
I don't really care what you have to say. Facts over fiction is the motto replay. Muhammad Ali came up from the clay. Grassroots built up this USA. Now knowing your history, you'll get played. Equip yourself, cause you came to slay any opponent that's up in our way. Look at Malcolm X and his delivery.
What's up, family? What's up, family? Hope everyone is doing well. My name is Jamoya, and this is Imin, the Mass Media Group, and we have two wonderful guests in the building today, all the way out from New York. So I do want to introduce you to these wonderful persons that are in New York, representing the U.S. Freedmen Project. But before we do so, I'm just going to do a little housekeeping, family. And go ahead, if you do have any questions, drop them in the comment section. And then after the presentation, a couple other questions that we're going to ask our good people coming through. Then we're going to go ahead and I'll drop those comments or questions to them at that particular time. But let's go ahead and do some quick housekeeping. If you can, please, as always, to support our channel, go to our Amazon link there. All right. I know y'all shop at Amazon, so that's a way to support us. It's free. It should be down in the link in our description of our video. So all you got to do is hit us up and go to that Amazon, do some shopping, and do what you need to do. Get your purchases. I know it's Halloween for those who do celebrate Halloween. So if you got some Halloween stuff you want to order, go ahead and hook that up. And also, as usual, we have Reparations Now, the documentary, free, available on Tubi. We also got some in the works as well that we're working on coming up. So be on the lookout for that. So I know we're running a little bit behind on schedule, but we're going to keep it popping and we're going to keep it moving. But before, once again, I introduce our wonderful guest, there is a special video I would like to play, and then we will start with the presentation and the program. So let's go right now.
My name is Divine Prince. I wanted a big reveal, but I guess y'all got it now. I'd like to start with a definition as defined by the federal government. African American. Any person having origins in any of the black racial groups of Africa. One more time. African American. Any person having origins in any of the black racial groups of Africa. This means Black Americans are African American. Afro-Caribbeans are African American. And continental Africans are African American. Hypothetical question. If you're able to be you, and you're able to be me, who am I? My name is Divine Prince. I'm a descendant of multi-generational New Yorkers by way of Georgia and the Carolinas, and I am the current president of the U.S. Freedmen Project. Sadly, we are the only organization in New York advocating exclusively for Black Americans. Those families that earned the status of freedmen by winning the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln's words, and through more of Abraham Lincoln's words, the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863, and finally solidified by the 13th Amendment to the Constitution in 1865. We are also the only organization to lead a workshop on reparations at the Black, Puerto Rican, Hispanic, and Asian Caucus Weekend to educate the public and legislators on how to get reparations right. Now, I had a bunch of moral arguments on why we need to get it right, because another reparationist by the name of Dr. King believed that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. But if I've learned nothing else from the Democrats in New York and every single decision maker involved with this bill, and we've met with them all, it's that they will not do what is moral or what is right for Black Americans unless we make it politically impossible for them to ignore us. I always say this government will never do anything for the freedmen that we don't force them to do. Being naive, I always thought that applied to only Republicans. But in this blue state, the opposition to getting reparations right has come from the Democrats and from our legacy organizations. With that said, I am imploring this commission do what is legally and constitutionally sound if we can't do it morally. Race-based policy is unconstitutional whether we like it or not. Policy based on status is constitutional, and it's how policy has always been constructed, i.e. veteran, immigrant, Native American. The status of freedmen has legislative and constitutional precedent in crafting remedies for those families reparations has always been for, as determined by the American Freedmen Inquiry Commission, whose findings resulted in the Freedmen Acts of 1865 that created the Freedmen's Bureau and the Freedmen's Bank. With conservative activists, Ed Bloom and others challenging race-based affirmative action, the Fearless Fund, and the Evanston Reparations Initiative, the status of freedmen has to be used for two reasons.
Time.
How much more do you have? I got like 10 seconds.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much, brother. The status of freedmen has to be used for two reasons. One, to bypass this constitutional challenge, and two, because this current Supreme Court has deemed remedial justice based on what was done specifically and exclusively to freedmen from enslavement to present day as still good law. And I'll end with this. Racial justice, though a worthy cause, is not the same as and should never be conflated with reparations for American freedmen families.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
We are here. We made it.
Yes.
So I would like to introduce a good brother who was on the microphone out in the New York commissions, reparations. Brother, I'll let you go first, Divine, and then you would like to also introduce Redmond Coachman as well.
Absolutely. Good evening, family. Again, I want to make sure that I take full blame for the delay in our starting time. That was not Brother Umoya. He was on point. We were getting some things organized in the background, so I will take that blame, take that heat. Do not blame this brother. That was all on me. I will say, though, that I agree with that good-looking brother in the video that was giving those comments at that task force. Racial justice is not reparations, and I think that is the rallying cry that we are taking here in New York and that others should take everywhere that they're doing or planning to do reparations around the country, and especially at the federal level, because though it's a worthy cause, racial justice and reparations are two totally different endeavors, and they should never be conflated, because when you conflate two things that are similar but not the same, somebody gets the short end of the stick. And we don't want to see that being done with racial justice. And unfortunately, the freedmen have always gotten the short end of the stick in this country, and we will not see that happen any longer either. So my name is Divine Prince. I'm the current president of the U.S. Freedmen Project, and I have made reparations my life's mission, and the mission is good. So on that note, I will toss the mic over to Reverend Coachman, and she will introduce herself.
Thank you, Divine. My name is Reverend Phyllis Coachman, and I am one of the founding board members of the U.S. Freeman Project. And my brother Divine said he takes full credit for being late, but actually he's being kind because I'm the one. I had some technical difficulties, and I want to thank the brothers, and they were very patient with me. So, but here we are, but it's really on me. It's not on Divine. Okay. But
it's all good, man. It's all good. Y'all's doing New York time, and we out in California. See, you actually are on time.
Yes.
There we go.
So y'all on time.
All right.
So it's all good. I'm sorry, Reverend Coachman. Please.
That's all right. I'm good.
Okay, so did you get done with your intro, or?
Oh, yes. Well, I've been working in the field of reparations now for, I guess, about maybe 5-6 years. So I'm very, very, very passionate about it because I know this is our time. It's been our time years ago, but right now, all over this country, we're standing up and we're fighting for what is ours. So I'm just so proud to be a part of this reparations movement and a part of the U.S. Freeman Project and a part of all of the other ground organizations that are doing the work every day to make it happen for our people, the American freedmen. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you
Yes.
very much. So let's jump right into it, Reverend Coachman. We do have a presentation for the family to view, so let's go ahead and start. I'm going to go ahead and present the first page. Just let me know when you would like to go to the next page.
Okay, a call for equality and reparations. And I was specific in using that word equality because often, of course, equity, we use that equity, but equality, if you look at, once I present the slides, you'll see why I'm using that word equality, because we're not even getting what other people are getting. So that's why I said it's a call for equality and reparations. The next slide. Introduction. In the United States, there's only two ethnic groups that are not immigrants. And we know one, the first one, American, Native Americans, and also American freemen. American freemen, we have endured centuries of systemic oppression and economic exclusion and 246 years of free labor of our enslaved ancestors that built America's wealth. The next slide. Millions of immigrants and asylum seekers, they voluntarily came to U.S. No one forced them, but they came voluntarily. And they received support, institutional support from federal, state, and local governments. American freemen, by contrast, we have been left without dedicated resources. The last agency that we had for ourselves was in 1865, and that was the Freedmen's Bureau, the Freedmen's Bureau. And we know that that was dismantled in 1872. So since that time, we haven't had anything that was specifically for us. But all these other folks, they have agencies and support from not just federal, like I said, but also state and local governments, but nothing for us. Let's look at some of the agencies and programs for immigrants. In New York City, we have the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs. The budget in 2023 was 20 million, and in 2024 is 13.8 million. Then we also have the New York State Office for New Americans. In 2024, the budget 44.2 million. And in 2022, they even had a special emergency assistance for those Ukrainian asylum seekers. 17 million was allocated in 2022. So we have money, but the problem is they have money, but when it comes to us, what are we getting? Are we getting any of the monies that's going around to those who just come or those who are just arriving in our city, in our state, and not just that, but in our country? What are the challenges faced by American freemen? We know it. We know the challenges. The systemic barriers have led to disadvantages in economics, education, housing, and healthcare, and it continues to impact us until this day. We know the cruel disadvantages that we had from slavery to the end of slavery. We know that the sharecropping, Jim Crow is so many things. We redline it. I mean, we know it. We could go down the line, down the line, down the line, up until today. So that's why we have the systemic barriers and disadvantages that's facing American freemen today, that are facing American freemen. Now, in 2023, last year, a research study was done And it's a report on the community of interest. And it was done by CUNY. And what CUNY did in that report was to disaggregate the Black African American population in New York City, and it highlighted the disparities faced by African Americans, non-Hispanic Black persons born in the US without foreign ancestry, and it compared the statistics to Black immigrants and their descendants. Now, this was a very important study because usually we don't get studies that disaggregate Black Americans. When you say Black Americans, I want to say Black Americans, the Black population. But here we have it, and let's see what it came up with. Let's see what was actually outlined in this study and some of disparities, not just between whites and Blacks, but our own people of our own melanated people in the city of New York. Income and employment disparities. The median household income for African Americans household, $53,000. For Afro-Caribbean, it said it was 43,000 for African American households, 43,000. For Afro-Caribbeans, 53,000. The unemployment rate for African Americans, 11%. For Afro-Caribbeans, less, 8%. For African immigrants, 6%. So that is the unemployment rate. Of course, we have a higher unemployment rate. Our median household income is lower. The wealth gap. African American household reported median net worth of $8,000. $8,000. Afro-Caribbean families have $12,000. African immigrants have $15,000. So the dual income households and entrepreneurship contribute, of course, to the wealth gap. But we concede African American household with less. We've been here the longest and we have less. There's something wrong with that picture. It is not our fault completely, mostly, the majority of all of what we had to go through in this country. We can see how it has impacted us negatively. The educational attainment. College graduation, African Americans, 18% of college graduates. Afro-Caribbean descendants, 28%. African immigrants, 31%. And we know that a lot of the African immigrants, a lot of them that come over here already have either college education or they have the funds to go to college. So they have different advantages a lot of times, not all the time, but many, often. So you can see even our college graduation levels is lower. The high school graduation immigrants, origin groups achieve 5% higher than native-born African Americans. So I wanted just to show the disparities, and I wanted to bring out this study that was done because a lot of times we focus on, like I said before, just the Black and white disparities and the wealth and the gap. But even in our own, we have a lot of work to do. And we're asking for resources, more resource for our community. Home ownership, housing and gentrification. I'm going a little quicker because we run out of time. Housing and gentrification, home ownership, African Americans, 26%, Afro-Caribbeans, 35%. Gentrification displaces long-time African American residents in neighborhoods like Bed-Stuyvesant and Harlem, and so many other places in New York City. And the housing is so expensive now that a lot of African Americans, or if you call them descendants of persons enslaved in America, moved out of New York City because they can no longer afford to live in the city. So our numbers has decreased because of that reason. Funding for immigrant services in New York City and New York State. Let's look at some of that, some of the funding. We don't want to hear that we don't have the money to give to American freedmen. New York City and the state allocate billions to immigrants and asylum seekers, while American freedmen receive no dedicated resources. Example, 1.45 billion spent in 2023 for housing immigrants in hotels and shelters. That's a lot of money. New York City had a program, a debit card program that allocated $45 million for immigrant families in 2023. When have New York City or the state or any other government, local government, given us debit cards? So when they want the money, they find the money. But guess what? Not for us, but guess what? Something else. We are saying now it's time to pay. It's time to pay. We are saying that all over this country. The Equal Protection Clause, you know, the 14th Amendment, as I was looking at the slides and going over the information, it came to me about the Constitution. We are citizens of this country. And that's why we're not afraid to raise our flag, the red, white, and blue. We have a Constitution, 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. The 14th Amendment is an equal protection clause. The 14th Amendment guarantees equal protection under the law and prohibits states from denying any person equal protection. This clause has been used to challenge discriminatory practices and could serve as a basis for reparations by demonstrating how laws and policies historically denied African American descendants of U.S. slavery, American freemen, equal rights and opportunities. Reparations could be seen as a measure to rectify the systemic exclusion of freemen from equal access to housing, education, employment, etc., etc. So we're protected under the Equal Protection Clause, and we know that we are on the side of righteousness, equality, justice. And that's why we're saying to America, now is the time to get up and to do what's right to the American freemen, by the American freemen. Conclusion, a seat at the table. American freemen deserves a seat at the table and a share of the wealth they have built. It's time to establish a New York State, New York City, and I would include a federal Freedmen's Bureau to provide targeted resources, education, housing, and reparations specifically for American freemen, those who are the descendants of persons enslaved in the United States. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, Reverend Coachman. That was excellent. As always, I saw your presentation before and I was just like, man, we have to get this information out to the family, especially going out there in New York. I just want to say, great presentation.
Thank you.
You guys are doing great work out there in New York. Before we go, it's 5:10, so we got about 20 minutes-ish. I actually wanted to get into the commission that's going out there in reparations, if we possibly can. Go over some slides and so forth, but I do have a couple of videos that I do want to play, and then I want to get, obviously both of your reaction on these videos and upcoming slides. So let's go play this. go play this video, and we will get into it. All right, here we go.
The Community Commission, the work that we have set to do, who we are, and our core mandates. And as you see here, our core mandates are to research economic, social, and political impact of slavery, discrimination on Black New Yorkers from 1626 to present day, determine who is eligible for reparation, and hold public hearings to gather input, and develop a comprehensive report outlining the harms and reparative measures, and recommend policies and programs and restorative payments, and coordinate with local, state, and national stakeholders to ensure alignment with broader reparations initiatives. And so if you need to contact the commission or you want to learn more about our work, our official website is newyork.gov/reparations. And we also have an official email where we all get it at reparationscommission@reparations.newyork.gov.
All right, so I just wanted to quickly play that video. I actually didn't have a chance to look at all of the current Community Reparations Commission's webcasts that have been happening, but I had a chance to look at some of it. I did actually want to go over the current members and also the chair and vice chair, and obviously get everyone's opinion on it. So I'm just going to read this. Is there any information that I'm missing or that is incorrect? Divine or Reverend Coachman, please correct that information. New York State Community Reparations Commission current meetings took place July 30th, August 27th, and October 1st of 2024. The New York State Community Commission on Reparations Remedies is tasked with examining the legacy of slavery, subsequent discrimination against people of African descent, and impact these forces continue to have in the present day. Governor Hochul signed Bill S1163 and A7691, establishing the commission on December 19th, 2023. All right, and it looks like according to S1163A, I just want to highlight this on Section 9C. It says they're going to report to the legislature. The commission shall submit a written report of its findings and recommendation to the temporary president of the Senate, the Speaker of the Assembly, the minority leaders of the Senate and the Assembly, and the governor, not later or no later than 1 year after the date of the first meeting of the commission. So I wanted to mention that just to confirm that since it started on July 30th, then the report will be due, I guess, on the next July 30th, 2025, and it will sunset. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in between that time, obviously we have these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 member. I guess I'll just go over, start with the chair. I was going to go left and right because I basically took the information that was on the website and went in sequential order. But I'll start with the chair and then go to the vice chair. Mm-hmm. And if you two have any comments, information, if there's any bad actors, this is a safe space, but it is public.
Right.
So just heads up. So however you feel, we believe in the First Amendment. Obviously, if we can, and everybody in the chat too, one, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. But, we believe in the First Amendment as well. But we do realize we are online and this is a public forum. So, if we can not refrain from explicit words, we really appreciate it. I know y'all ain't going to be going there, but I just had to give that disclaimer.
Yes.
All right, so let's start with Chair Chanel Hawkins. Can you two tell us a little bit about Chair Hawkins?
Yeah, so Chanel Hawkins is the chair. She is she's affiliated with the Urban League.
Right, Rochester.
Out of Rochester. And what I would say is we went into this process highly suspect of everybody, right? Because we understood, what's at stake. We seen what happened in California. We know that while we were collaborating with the good actors in California, all the legislators and most of these task force members were collaborating with the bad actors in California, some of who were on the California task force itself. And so we knew that anybody could be a possible bad actor or not have the community's best interest at heart. So far, I will say, even though I was worried about Chanel Hawkins' views being tied to a legacy organization in the Urban League, which is, for those that didn't know, one of the organizations that signed on to a letter that then sent that to the OMB to extend the original deadline to let them know that because they hadn't had a chance to weigh in yet, that they should delay any findings based on all the public comments that we gave as a community, stating that we need our own designation for our ethnic group. And so they came in at the 9th hour and held it up, but also were instrumental in getting them to side or be on the side of not creating a designation for our particular ethnic group. But with saying all that and being fully transparent, at this point in time, Chanel Hawkins has been a pillar of transparency and integrity throughout the process. I will not go as far as saying that she is on the side of lineage-based reparations, but she has been moving very, very fairly and keeping the task force on track, and being fair with allowing those of possible dissenting views, or let's say all views, to have their say uninterrupted.
Yes. And also she was the one who had the deciding vote in selecting the
That's right.
vice chair, which was our Reverend Dr. Deborah Jenkins.
Well, let's. I guess that's a good segue. Y'all just
Perfect
went right
segue.
into it.
Yes. Yes.
Let's go into Reverend Dr. Deborah D. Jenkins. What's going on with her?
Go ahead, Reverend Coachman. You can take the lead on that one.
Yes, Dr. Jenkins, she's a pastor, first of all, founding pastor of Faith at Work Christian Church. And we know that she is a American freedman. So we know that she is one who believes in, we believe it, right? Lineage based. Now, we also know that, of course, she's there and she's open to hear everything and decide what needs to really be done. But we know that she is someone that is an American freedman and that understand what it is as far as lineage-based reparations.
Yeah, and she is, I would say, just add that she is, so far, especially, and of course, I'm biased, she has been moving the most. If we're going to measure who's been moving in good faith, she's, I would say, at the tippy top of the list. Number one, she's also been tasked with putting a list together of expert witnesses. And so I am glad that she is in that position, because when we get to some of the other actors on this panel, we'll say what they're trying to do and attempting to do in real time. But I will lastly say and agree with Reverend Coachman that Chanel Hawkins at the time, because of, not to sound like PBS with viewers like you, but because of reparationists like you in the audience, because we filled that inbox, that email, letting them know we were not pleased with the way they handled the voting of the vice chair in the first meeting. By the time we got to the second meeting, there were 7 people on the dais, and that's a quorum, and so it ended up being 3 votes for Dr. Ron Daniels, 3 votes for Dr. Deborah Jenkins, and Chanel Hawkins as the chair was the deciding vote, and she voted and made Dr. Jenkins the vice chair over Dr. Daniels, and so that was major, and so we have to give credit to the chair for that. And also, like I said, to viewers like you, because without it, at the end of the meeting, when I got a chance to, after giving those comments, I was able to talk to those task force members in attendance, and that's the first thing they mentioned, that those emails were all of us letting them know that you were being watched. We were going to hold you accountable and hold you to the rules of ethics and things of that nature. That made a difference in the way they voted and in the way in which they held that vote. So again, I think that's so important to say, because we have to, as a collective, as a community, we're the tip of the spear, but this spear is in your hands. You're helping to guide us in this way and in that way, and so all of us together were able to hold them accountable and get them to be accountable to the rules that govern that body.
Right.
Now, Divine, I did have a chance to actually see the commission meeting on July 30th. I believe that was the first one. And am I correct in that they were trying to actually get Ron Daniels, and he wasn't even at the commission at the time? They were trying to get him as vice chair. Is that correct?
So what I will say is that as an organization, we have been at let me not say every, like it's been 10,000, but we've been at all three. And so I will defer to Reverend Coachman, who is also Reverend Dr. Phyllis Coachman. Let me put some respect on her name, as we call everybody doctor. So Reverend Dr. Phyllis Coachman, she was at the first one, so she can speak fully to what they were trying to do at that meeting. As we all watched it, she was there in the building in Albany. So go ahead, Reverend Dr. Phyllis Coachman.
Oh, you don't have to say Reverend Doctor.
Reverend Doctor.
You don't have to say all that. I know who I am. It's okay. Yes, I was in that meeting, and as they said, Daniels was not there, but they wanted to do the vote even in his absence. So it was like, well, how could you vote for someone if they're not present? And at that same time, Dr. Jenkins had made it known that she wanted to, or she was nominating herself to be the vice president, the vice chair. So they kind of ignored that piece of it, and they was trying to push for Daniels. But thank God it didn't happen. And they said, okay, well, this is what we should do. Let's delay the vote until the next meeting. So they delayed the vote to the next meeting. And as Divine said, we are so grateful for the grassroots, because everyone started sending in emails. They had a couple of campaigns going on, right?
Yes.
Campaigns going on in California and all over the country. And that's why, like Divine said, it's so important when we all come together, because we have more power when we're together and we can do this. So we had a big blast, email blast, and people calling and saying, no, you're not being transparent. This is not right. So thank God, like he said, at the next meeting, the vote was made and cast for Dr. Deborah Jenkins to be the vice chair. So we're grateful. So we're just glad that we're part of a big movement. This is a great movement.
Yeah.
And we're so grateful to our California brothers and sisters. And we're so grateful for you, for your presence, your ETM meeting group. I mean, you play a major role. And so we just thank you. We just thank everyone for all that's happening now, because you may not realize it, but we're making history. I think some of you do realize it, right?
That's right.
We are making history. And years later, people going to look back on this and say, oh, ETM meeting, I know him. Oh, Devon, I know him. Oh, I know CJ. I know Chris. I know Tiffany. I know Friday. I know all the folks. I should start naming, because when you start naming, you get in trouble.
All right, fellas.
Chris, everybody.
Yeah, so let's continue. Appreciate that. So let's start off with, I guess she's the treasurer, Jennifer Jones Austin.
Yes, she's a treasurer.
Mm-hmm. Any information about treasurer Jennifer Jones Austin?
Yeah, so Jennifer Jones Austin is affiliated with a lot of the racial justice work, which is why I want to make it a point into every meeting that we are attending and I get a chance to speak, to let them know that they are very separate and distinct things, right? And so she has a lot of experience with those racial justice commissions that they launched through, I think they were ballot measures back in 2020, if I'm not mistaken, or 2022 during the midterms. But either way, she's been on those commissions. She's done that work. I think she's also affiliated with the African American commission that the governor created through executive order essentially these are, and I don't want to say they're do nothing commissions, but they're largely symbolic in nature. They're not provided. They're not obligated to provide any recommendations or any proposals. It's essentially just let people come. It's almost like therapy sessions, essentially, especially the African American Commission. The Racial Justice Commission, again, is racial justice, so that's nothing specific for us. But she does have experience in that, and so she's been able to keep them on track with expectations, but also with some of the procedures and what needs to get done. So she's keeping them on track with that. I think, I'm not sure if she voted for. I can't remember exactly who voted for Dr. Deborah, who didn't. I know obviously there's video of it up, but I can't remember off the top of my head. So far, I would say she is definitely more of the middle of the road actors, right? She hasn't done anything that I would say she's on our side, but she hasn't done anything that's against it. And so, like I said, she is. One thing I will say about her is, based on what we've seen and how she's been handling herself, she is dedicated to getting the work done and getting the work done correctly. Now, whatever that work turns out to be, I can't speak towards. But the logistics of it, the procedural nature of it all, she's dedicated to doing that right. So that's always a plus when you're not trying to do things the wrong way.
All right. Let's go to member Timothy R. Is it Hogwes or Hodges?
Timothy Hoggs. Yeah.
Timothy Hoggs. Okay. Timothy Hoggs. Any information on Timothy Hoggs?
I think he was commissioner of the Department of Civil Service and president of the Civil Service Commission, if that still holds true. I'm not totally sure. I don't know a whole lot about him. But that's the information I got for his background.
And also, too, just to kind of backtrack a little bit, Jennifer Jones Austin, she is associated with NAN. So she's associated with Al Sharpton's organization.
Okay.
So just kind of letting people know who has ties to the legacy organizations. Timothy is actually an economist out of, if I'm not mistaken, he's out of Buffalo.
Okay, Buffalo. Yeah.
I know he's from Buffalo. I think is he an economist? I'm almost for certain about that. That he's definitely out of Buffalo. And I believe that his area of expertise is as an economist, I believe, and I think he held office in Erie County too, if I'm not mistaken.
All right.
And he was
go
ahead. I'm sorry, and he was appointed by the governor. So.
Gotcha. All right, let's move to member Linda Brown Robinson. Who would like to take that one?
NAACP.
Right. Yeah. She
has ties to NAACP, past president of the Syracuse NAACP.
Yes.
New York State Western Region Director of the NAACP. So that's her ties and connection.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right, let's move to member Derek Hamilton, Dr. Derek Hamilton.
That's right.
Yeah, yes. I think he might be a little known name in these reparation spaces, but I'll let you two move forward with it.
Yes.
So yeah, Dr. Derek Hamilton.
Yeah. So let me ask this, because I know she was there on behalf of the org. Reverend Coach was Dr. Derek Hamilton. Was he at the first meeting?
I'm not. To be honest with you.
You muted yourself.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I really don't know if he was at the first meeting, because that was the first time seeing them.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure if that was him or if that was. But if I see, I guess a photo of him, maybe I can remember. But I'm not sure.
Right, because to my knowledge, if he wasn't at that first one, he's not been at any of the meetings.
Yeah, I don't remember if he was there.
And so I'm not sure, what his commitment level to this task force is. Again, he's definitely an economist. He was working with Dr. Darity on a number of things before. I don't know if they broke because of it, but he is more along the lines of the baby bonds. He wants to do that as far as for reparations. Derek Hamilton.
Baby bonds.
Yeah. I think he was.
Okay, I think I heard about that.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he was one of the consultants with on the contract for Black America with Ice Cube.
Oh,
So
yeah, you are correct. You are correct.
So he was with him on that, and I think they talked about baby bonds in that contract as well. So I think that's instead of direct cash payments, I think he's more leaning towards that. But he's not been at the second meeting, and he's not been at the third meeting, even though it was virtual. So again, I'm not sure what his level of dedication or commitment to it. Maybe he just has some scheduling conflicts. But so far, it just seems like he's not totally in, right? I haven't seen anything from him or anyone even cite any feedback he's given to the task force in any real nature.
Yeah, I think he was there at the first one, if I recall correctly, and I think he did give his input. But yeah, I honestly can't speak on the second or third meeting because I don't recall that.
He definitely wasn't at those because I was at those.
You were there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's move on to, we have Secretary Linda Tarrant Reed. I might have mispronounced Tarrant.
So Linda Tarrant Reed, she is the secretary. The third meeting, which I went to, they broke it up into two sections. And so they had a meeting in New Rochelle, and then they had, which was for quote unquote downstate. No one really calls it downstate New York, but we call it upstate New York, and then there's New York, right? So they kind of call it downstate, I guess, because they're from upstate. But the New York City portion of the meeting happened in New Rochelle, and that was spearheaded by Secretary Linda Tarrant Reed. So she has ties to the New Rochelle community, and just based on our experience so far, I believe she. I don't want. Let me not misspeak and say who she voted for, but I know she was present at the second meeting. I just can't remember if she voted for Dr. Daniels or Dr. Jenkins. But what I will say is what she said at the third meeting, which I cited in my public comment, which I appreciated, was that she pushed the task force members to take this thing seriously and to take ownership of it, because that's what she did in New Rochelle. That's why that was the most attended meeting out of the three in New Rochelle, not as far as what happened in Syracuse, upstate New York meeting. They said their meeting was kind of empty. That had Chanel Hawkins in it, that had Timothy Hoggs in it, and that had was it just them two? I think it was the third person in that meeting that was present. But in the New Rochelle meeting, Linda Tarrant Reed, she walked it like she talked it, and she had that room full. She had politicians in that room from New Rochelle. She had her family members in that room in New Rochelle. She was imploring the rest of the team to take ownership of it, because they understand that they're not going to get the press that they need and or the publicity that they need and the coverage that they need. So they're going to have to take it upon themselves to do it. So I would say she is definitely somebody that is taking it seriously, and is very fair-minded. Again, she was not trying to have either position have more weight. She was very even-handed and fair. So I would say she's in the middle of the road as far as between good and bad actors so far.
And if I remember correctly, I think she did vote for Dr. Jenkins.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wanted to say that, but I didn't want to miss it, but I believe so too.
I think she did, because I remember seeing her. So,
all right. Well, go on to the next one. Member Dr. Ron Daniels. Who would like to take this one?
Oh, you can take it. Oh.
Okay, so I will take it. So he is a bad actor of the highest degree.
Oh, we all know. We know.
Right, and so
Ron Daniels is?
In fact, here's some tidbits that people don't know, because we never really got a chance to air it. We were in our infancy, but we went to the 2019 NAN conference as an organization. We were first getting started, and I came across Dr. Ron Daniels. We were doing like almost like street interviews, but we were in the NAN conference. Mm-hmm. And so Dr. Ron Daniels is when I first met him, first laid eyes on him, first got a chance to even encounter him. And we brought up the concept of reparations. At that time, there was nothing really going on. I think California was just getting started, if I'm not mistaken. And I got a chance to ask him a question when I brought up reparations. He started bloviating about NARC and Cobra, what they've been doing. So I was like, what's your position on lineage-based reparations? And when I tell you that man looked like he saw a ghost, he looked me dead in my eyes, and then he's like, I can't talk about this anymore. And he walked away from us and ran into the NAN conference, like where they were seated, where the people were speaking at, because we caught him in the hallway. And that was my first interaction with Dr. Ron Daniels. Our second, which was not a personal encounter, was when we saw that his organization, along with two others in New York, were written into the bill that they were trying to pass here in New York. And that was our first major call to action as an organization. We got together. That's where we met and came across Dr. Deborah Jenkins, because she was one of the people that came to our call to action and took it up to get those people written out of the bill. And we got a chance to meet multiple reparationists that we still are connected to today here in New York and around the nation that got involved, and we got that bill killed, where it called for Dr. Ron Daniels' organization, IBW 21, which is Narcan and Cobra, the December 12th movement, and also why am I drawing a blank? The December 12th movement, IBW 21, and oh my God, what's the other one? I done said this thing 1,000 times. I don't know why my brain is freezing up. But either way, it was 3 Pan-African organizations. The third one might be in Cobra itself.
Cobra.
Yeah, it is. It's in Cobra itself. So he's affiliated with both of those. But either way, all 3 of those are written into the original version of the bill, to the point where they each got a chance to appoint 2 people.
Wow.
And so 2 times 3 is 6.
Yes.
And that was going to be an 11-person commission. And so all by themselves, they could make up a quorum, because 6 made up a quorum. So no matter what the other 5 people that were appointed would say, they had the power to unilaterally make any decision that they wanted on that commission, the original version. And we knew that was going to spell disaster. So we got them thrown out of the bill.
Yes.
As a community, as a reparations grassroots movement and call to action. And so that was our second encounter with Dr. Ron Daniels. And then my third, which was another personal in-person meeting, was at that third meeting. Dr. Ron Daniels was there in person. And I can say this, even though you put the disclaimer out about not getting too spicy with the language. What I will say is that I will not say anything about anybody that I will not say to their face. And so I got a chance to say to Dr. Ron Daniels' face that he is trying to sabotage the reparations movement by racializing it. Because in other public comments in the Fulton County Reparations Task Force in Georgia, he said, I use the term Afro-immigrant or Afro-Caribbean and Continental African. Those are the terms that I use to describe the other groups that come over here that are melanated. I don't like the term black immigrants because I think it gives them too much agency in what we're doing. But he came out and said, his words, exact words were, today's black immigrant is tomorrow's African American. And based on the current definition, he is right. But that is also ethnocide and erasure.
Yes, it is.
And so I was able to tell him that to his face at that meeting in New Rochelle, to let him know that, and let everybody else know around us, that this is the issue with Pan-Africanism and forcing that ideology onto our reparations claim. Because though he's not wrong, that's the same reason why it's not right. Because today's Afro-immigrant is tomorrow's African-American, which erases today's and yesterday's African-American who were the American freedmen. And so that is why he's a bad actor. I don't know what he is like as a person, so I will not speak to that. But his ideology being forced into this space is what makes him a bad actor. Practicing ethnocide is what makes him a bad actor. Understanding that racial reparations is a no-go and unconstitutional, yet you're trying to push it anyway to make a statement for your ideology, is what makes him a bad actor. And we cannot allow that to pass.
Yeah. Nope.
All right. Thank you for that, brother. So we'll move on to, and I believe the last of the 9 member, Lori Daniel Favors Esquire. So she is an attorney or a lawyer.
Yes, she is. Do you want to say anything about her as well, or Dr. Ron Daniels or Coach? I didn't mean to go being long-winded.
No, that's okay. You go ahead.
Okay. So another one, this is another person that is a bad actor. In fact, our very own esteemed chairwoman, Queen PYT Moore, as I call her.
Shout out.
She got a chance to go on the Lurie Daniel Favors show. She actually has a show, and on that show, she attempted to frame lineage-based reparationists as nativists. She's on that type of time. She tried to equate it with nationalism, aka white nationalism. And so, Chairwoman Camilla Moore, we already know through experience that she can handle herself better than most. So it was easy work for her to clean up that propaganda. But I'm just saying to let you guys know what type of time that Lurie Daniel Favors is on. She is a lawyer. She is fully aware that race-based reparations is unconstitutional and will not stand a constitutional challenge. In fact, we had a unofficial encounter on Twitter where she was trying to demonize our American freedmen voters that didn't come out in Louisiana and vote based on symbolism, vote based on identity politics, by saying that whatever Louisiana got because the Republican won the governorship, whatever they get now they deserve because they didn't come out. And I came on and I was like, listen, you can't blame voters for not coming out when the quote-unquote black candidate didn't give them anything to come out for. We are voting for policies henceforth and forevermore. And so when you come and try to blame the voters, it's like trying to blame a customer because the store didn't have what they wanted. I'm not spending money just because you need me to. If you don't have what I want, I ain't shopping. So if you don't have the policy we demand, I ain't voting for you. And so she said, well, what policies would you like to see? I said, we need lineage-specific policies. And in that encounter, she came out and said, well, you already know that doing policy based on race is unconstitutional. And I said, Mrs. Esquire, I am so glad you said that.
Yes.
Keep that in mind because this is before the commission had even assembled. I said, keep that in mind for when you get on that task force here in New York, and remember that race-based policy is unconstitutional. So they know it full and well until they want to pretend that they don't know it full and well. Right. And so one of the other things that she said and did, which again, I will not say anything to somebody, I will not say anything about somebody behind their back that I wouldn't say it to their face. And she was at that meeting in New Rochelle as well, and I got a chance to say it to her face, that on Twitter, on X, whatever you want to call it, she put up a post trying to fearmonger black folks to say, oh, if Trump does round people up and do deportations, that means us as well as black Americans. And I was able to debunk that in real time at that task force meeting to her face and let her know, no, we're not playing that game. Black Americans, we are not immigrants. The American freedmen are not immigrants. Like Reverend Coachman pointed out in the presentation, we are one of two groups in this country that have never been and never will be immigrants to this country. The Native Americans and those that built it, the American freedmen. And so I was able to let her know that what she's doing is racializing, again, a justice claim and giving our story away because of her ideology. She is also a staunch Pan-African. And in another one of a Zoom that they did leading up to the task force being formed, she was saying that we shouldn't do lineage-based because for the same reason that we're trying to lock other people out, our ancestors could get locked out if they were not enslaved in New York, because this commission is only for those that had descendants that were enslaved in New York. Nowhere in the legislation is that written. It doesn't call for that. It doesn't use that scope or that requirement. And so that is just her as a Pan-African trying to create a false equivalent to say that we should not create a community of eligibility based on lineage alone, because then they can make a community of eligibility based on only being enslaved in New York. And we're not going to let that stand either, because again, that is their own interpretation. That is not in the legislation, and we're going to hold them to the letter of the law.
Yes.
Wonderful. All right, so let's go through a couple more of these slides and wrap it up, because we are on the hour. But it's been a very informative and instructive conversation and discussion and presentation. So I appreciate you too. Let's go over these quick slides here. So I guess in one of the commission meetings, they said, how can you get involved? I don't want to go too deep into this, but Brother Divine or Reverend Coachman, can you kind of just briefly go over how people can get involved according to the slide that's up right now?
Yes, you can attend a public hearing and community forums. From my understanding, it's not, you can't call in, at least at this point, maybe they'll change it later, but you can attend a public hearing, stream a business meeting, that's live stream, you can do that, host a public hearing. I'm not too sure about that one, Divine. Can you elaborate on that a little more?
Yeah. Once you get through them, I'll elaborate on that.
Oh, okay. Email recommendations to the commission's email address, because they do have that, so you can send in your email. Form an official work group to the commission. Engage in dialogues and workshops on reparations in your community, and volunteer with community outreach initiatives. So there's several ways and several things to get involved. So it's only a year. We have less than a year now, so we have to really do what we can.
So I'm glad that you brought that and asked me to elaborate on that, because again, just in line with me calling Dr. Daniels and Lurie Daniel Favors Esquire bad actors, they brought this to the floor, and then Dr. Daniels seconded it to move to remove the host of public hearing portion and the form an official work group to the commission portions out of it. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to limit and to eliminate all community input. In fact, during that when they, once you bring something up for discussion, you can, then everybody else can weigh in. He also made additional comments saying, hey, we got to really be careful on who people are saying they're experts and who are not, because you have all these organizations popping up claiming to be experts. So that was a dig. That was a shot across the bow to say, hey, all these new quote-unquote organizations, they're saying they're experts, but they're not really experts. And also at that same time, that's when he quoted and cited his own organization and talked about the work that NARC and Cobra is doing. And so this is what they are trying to do. They're trying to limit the voices, limit the input from the actual community, because they understand and know what we have known for a long time. Though they have proximity to power based on being tools of left-wing white supremacy, in my personal opinion, so I won't put that on anybody else on this live stream, what they also understand and know factually is that they have never operated or had the full will of the people, the majority of them. And so they understand that as this thing moves forward and we continue to get this message out and let people know that that's even a task force that's doing this type of work, they know in their heart that the majority of people will not be on the ideologies that they're on, because our people have never been on that ideology as far as the majority of the American Freeman community. And that's what they fear the most. And so they moved to get it taken out. So they already got the work committees portion taken out. I'm not sure what the final vote or final consensus will be on hosting a public hearing, but that is where we're at right now.
So if I understand correctly, could advocacy organization like the U.S. Freedmen Project actually host one of these public hearings? Is that incorrect in my question? Or
if that portion stands and they don't vote to get that eliminated, that's exactly what that means. But it will be a public hearing that is endorsed and/or attended and/or supported by the task force, right? Like as of right now, we can host meetings and do whatever we want around this task force. We've done virtual ones, but we are looking to definitely do some in-person ones, like our brothers and sisters in California doing right now. Shout out to them. But this sort of hearing, hosting a public hearing, would be one where the members actually come out to it, and they can come out to it, because right now they're trying to they're creating guidelines around what events the task force members can actually attend in a formal capacity, because then if you're saying something in public, you are essentially speaking for the task force. So they're kind of ironing out those details now. So those would be actual ones that are supported and endorsed by them, and those are the ones that they're trying to figure out if they're going to still have. But if the U.S. Freeman Project wants to just say, hey, we're hosting a town hall to educate the public on the task force and things that's going on, we could do that, and they can't do anything to stop that, obviously.
Gotcha. Well, just to note out here in California, for those that don't know, at the time, the California Reparations Task Force actually basically chose, I believe, don't quote me, it was around 7 organizations that were involved in the reparations out here in California, like official organizations. One of them obviously was California for a Just and Equitable California, CJEC, that I am, founding member of. I will say that. And we were heavily involved in that process, as well as holding other additional outside community organizations as well. So hopefully New York will take the same step as well, to have the grassroots community and everybody involved in that as well, family. So thank you for that clarification, Divine. And,
absolutely.
All right, so we have one more slide here I want to go over. Can you tell the audience the difference between a public hearing and what they're considering a business meeting?
Right. So the 3 meetings that we have attended as an organization, and they have live streamed and most of you have viewed, those have all been business meetings, which is why you're not hearing from the public until the very end. They are conducting business, right? So they're, bringing up motions, they're voting, they're talking about what they're going to do as a commission. They have not held a public hearing yet, but I have been greenlit and authorized to tell you guys that we have found out when the first public hearing will take place, and I can announce it as a ETM Media Group exclusive. You're going to hear it first here and nowhere else. The first New York State public hearing meeting will take place on November 12th. It will be in Queens, New York at Roy Wilkins Park Community Center, and that will be from 4 to 8. And the public hearing is where the most of the meeting will be similar to what we saw in California, where people in the community will be able to come out, give their thoughts, and it'll be the most of that meeting will be from 4 to 8 will be the community sharing their thoughts, their suggestions, their comments. Obviously it'll probably be timed, probably at 3 minutes tapped out, but we are imploring. And we'll have other announcements as we move forward, obviously, informing the public, because this is so exclusive, we haven't even gotten a chance to post it on our official Twitter yet or anywhere else.
Wow,
so
privilege. Thank you.
Oh, no worries. And so, yes, we are imploring and asking the community to come out. Now, what I have not found out yet is if they will have a call-in portion. I know for the business meetings, they voted to say that you will not be able to give comment through audio, through call-in or virtually for the business meetings, right? But as far as the public hearings, I'm not sure what those parameters will be. Obviously, this is the first one, so we won't know probably until we get there. Obviously, we will be there. We are always there. We will continue to be there. And so, we will find that out moving forward. But yes, again, that is going to be November 12th from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. It is going to be in Queens, New York at Roy Wilkins Park Community Center. And we are calling for everybody, whether you agree with us or not, whether you think that it's supposed to be lineage-based or race-based or not. We are employing for everybody from the community to come out, have your voice heard. Let them know that this is important to you. Let them know that you need to see this get done. And more importantly, they need to get it done right.
All right. Well, before we go, in tradition, we're going to hit up the chat, see what people have, any comments or questions that people have, and then we're going to wrap it up. And then let's go. All right. So let's see here. Let me go start up at the top. Tippity top. Shout out to Black Contraband in the building as usual. We always appreciate you coming through, Black Contraband. Peace. What's up, Shanna? Hey, Shanna putting that good work out in the Bay Area. What's up, family? Hey, Freeman on deck in the beginning. All right, we have Ladie Streeter. Thanks for joining. I don't think I've seen you before, but thanks for joining. And, ETM Media's platform, we always welcome you. Shout out to Ladie for coming through. Let's see here. The Mass Group FY volume on Divin is coming in a bit low. Okay, I hope it's better now because I think we.
Yeah, they were talking about on the video of the comment at the hearing.
Oh, at the hearing. Okay.
Yeah, it was that was a little bit low.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Hey, I don't know.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about that.
Somebody's giving you a little shout out.
Hi, thanks for the shout out.
Yeah.
All right. Also giving you a little shout out, Brother Divine in the building.
All right.
Yes.
All right. As always, please like, share, and subscribe.
All right.
All right. Let's do this. All right. We have Iron Physique in the building. Greetings, American Freedmen.
Hi, Iron.
Oh yes.
Iron Physique.
And
Nita.
can't forget
Hi,
about
Nita.
Nita. What's up, Nita?
What's going on, Nita?
How you doing?
Appreciate you.
Thanks for joining us.
All right. We have F1 Sister for Life. All right. Thanks for coming through. Thanks for coming through. All right. Keep going through here. What's this? All right. It says Iron Physique says sanctuary cities across America are detriments for Black Americans / freedmen.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's not a coincidence that most sanctuary cities are urban areas.
Yeah, I heard New York. Is it true? I heard they've been like flooding New York. Is that really true?
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
That is 100% true. In fact, again, we can't endorse nor deny any candidate, but what I will say is that based on what they've been doing with who they're calling migrants, and I'm not afraid to say with the illegal aliens here in New York might be, I haven't really looked at the numbers lately, but for the first time in a really long time, New York might actually be in play to turn red. That's how bad the illegal alien crisis has been here in New York, and the stuff they've been doing in our faces, and how it's been affecting the budget and our everyday life, and just they always want to talk about, well, migrant crime is lower than national born citizen crime. It's like, yeah, but 100% of migrant crime could have been avoided, and so that stat doesn't really hold water. But what I will say is, I think I saw on online, again, this could be, don't quote me on this, but I believe that he is attempting to rent out or get the Garden, Madison Square Garden, to hold a rally there in New York. That's how much I'm talking about Trump. That's how much he believes that it's possibly in play. So yeah.
all right. Thank you, Adi. Appreciate that.
Thank you, ETM.
And thank you, my good partner Kim. That's my partner Kim.
Shout out to Kim. Is that Kim Mims?
Kim Mims in the building holding it down.
When your name rhymes, you're doing something right. Kim Mims.
Kim Mims. Shout out to Kim. Yeah, she had something that she had to take care of today, so always appreciate you.
Yes.
My production partner. ETN wouldn't be the same without her, so shout out.
Shout out to
All right. Let's go through some of these more. Once again, says Black people are not getting reparations.
Let me say something to that.
Hey, brother, we got some trolls every once in a while.
Yeah, that's all right. That's okay.
First
but
Amendment,
once again, is actually 100% correct. Black people are not getting reparations.
Yes.
The American freedmen are getting reparations. So once again, I thank you for coming up in here and blessing us with your knowledge and your wisdom.
That's right.
Reparations do not go to black people. Reparations go to the American freedmen.
That's right, the descendants of those.
So thank you once again. Once again, thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right. Maybe once again was being facetious. I don't know.
Who knows?
Again, also says, why do black
he
people have to jump through all these hoops, yet migrants get taxpayer benefits with them?
Think about it.
So that's very interesting.
It is interesting. And we know the history of the history in this country, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Chris.
So that's why, hey, Chris.
Organizing in Sacramento. What do we got to say about Chris? I don't know.
Shout out to arguably one of the hardest workers in the reparations movement.
Yes.
And if you take the other side of that argument, it's not a good decision.
Yeah, man. Sometimes I tease my brother being a political goat. You know what I mean? Because that brother be holding it down, man.
Yes.
Yes, he does.
I'd like to give a shout out to Queen Yasmin down in East Palo Alto. Which
Okay.
is a
Hi,
few
Queen Yasmin.
hour and some change from Sacramento. So Queen Yasmin's been definitely holding it down for East Palo Alto, man. Shout out to the EPA for reparations in the building. Uh-oh.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Hey, Friday.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Peace and
What's
reparations.
up, Friday?
Yes.
Peace and reparations.
All right.
Yeah, what can we say about Friday, too?
That's right.
D1,
Yes.
day one from the
That's
beginning,
right.
too.
They've all been helping
Did-
New York
listen.
out. We thank
Shout out to Miss Friday Jones.
Yeah.
Shout out to that press conference they did in front of Gavin Newsom's
Absolutely.
Yes.
spot and shine the light on what needed to be brought to the light. And so I shout out to them. Shout out to Friday Jones. Shout out to Nasty. Just it's humbling. You know what I'm saying, to be a part of this movement and to see all these amazing leaders and their commitment level
Right.
to the cause, because we understand how much of a commitment it takes to be dedicated to this, and so shout out to everybody that's doing the real work.
Absolutely. NARC and Cobra can never decide what reparations should be for us.
That's right. They can't, and we're not.
100%.
That's
Hey,
right, Michelle.
I didn't say it.
Michelle said it.
Yes,
She
you did.
did. Josephine Boatwright, Black Power lineage only. Cut
There you go.
the check.
There, yes, Josephine.
All right. Thank you,
Once
Adi, for
again,
coming
thank
through.
You, brother, you and thank you, Ladi.
Yes.
All right. Is anyone familiar with the first payment conference coming up in December? I have no idea what that is.
I don't know what that is either.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe
If you, I know we cutting on time, but if you have any information on that, Michelle, please put it in the chat.
Yes.
Yeah, you can put in the chat or send us an email at etnmediagroup@gmail.com and let us know more information about
Yes.
that. Let's see. Any Bagley King type public meeting protocol to follow? And if I'm understanding Kim correctly, I'll just elaborate on that question. Is there
Okay.
something like out in California? Bagley King, just for those that don't know, is you have to have a quorum, because if you don't have a quorum out here, then it's considered, you can't have it unethical, basically. So you have to have a quorum to make it a public meeting. You can't talk about business without having this, a public forum. So out there in New York State, do you guys have something like Howard in California where you have to have a Bagley King Act in order to commence business out there, in particular for this reparations commission?
Yes, there is.
Makes sense.
I'm not sure if it's Bagley King, if they're operating by the same rules, but there is a set of rules and ethics that they are being held and bound to. Which again, piggybacking on that, which is why those emails that we sent after the first meeting was so important, because it was unethical for them to postpone the vote with him not being present, because not necessarily to the public meeting protocol, but to the letter of the law of the bill, they were supposed to pick a chair and vice chair by the first meeting. By the end of the first meeting, it was supposed to be chosen. So him not being there, he was just supposed to be out of luck. But because they didn't follow that, and we let them know that we were aware of the legislation, that we were going to be holding them accountable, and that we see you, that's what made them hold it and do it right. And in fact, just another tidbit, and I can't say that our activism did that. I will blame that on the ancestors. If I'm not mistaken, the person that was trying to advocate for Dr. Ron Daniels the most was his fellow bad actor, Lurie Daniel Favors, in the first meeting. And in the second meeting, just so happened to be the meeting that she was not present in. And if she was present, knowing that she would have voted for Dr. Ron Daniels, he would have won the vote had she come out to that second meeting.
Yes.
But there was a quorum without her, and that's how we got Dr. Jenkins instead of Dr. Ron Daniels. So,
Right. So
just, some
thank God they
some
can.
behind the scenes.
All right. Appreciate that update. No rep, no check. Yep.
No check.
All right.
That's it.
Facts.
Facts.
Honor.
I'm assuming Shanna's talking about Chris Don't Sleep.
Yes, she is. And no, he don't.
Yes, that's right.
All right. Shout out to
evening,
Darlene
Good
Crumby, who's
evening,
also All right, a contributing member to Men in the Mass Media Group. So I'd like to give a shout out to our good sister Darlene, and she was actually an associate producer on this Reparations Now documentary. It's free right now on Tubi. Go check it out.
Oh yeah,
Called the
definitely will.
Hey,
tac, uh, follow the task force here in California, and we
Mm.
talked to all kind of advocates and talked to the community. We went all the way up for those people that don't know and new to our platform. Kim and I, we traveled all up and down California, went up to
Mm.
Weed, which a lot of people don't know about Weed, California. It did have a black community at one point,
Oh
a
wow.
Freedmen community, as a
oh,
matter of fact, all the way down to San Diego. So we traveled all up and down talking to the family. So please check that out.
yes.
It's
So,
free. You can watch it on Tubi Family. But I want to give a shout out to Darlene as usual because she's a heavy contributor to what we're doing here on 18 Media Group and CJEC. So shout out to a good sister.
Oh, I would
yes,
definitely. I'm
yes,
definitely gonna watch that. And just
yes.
a FYI, if ever y'all doing any type of documentary, please feel free. And you feel like we can add anything to it, definitely feel free to hit us up. We would definitely enjoy being a part of any projects that you have going. Have doing moving forward.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, man, I mean, this is a wish list and a goal, but I would like to actually do reparations documentaries, maybe not in all states, but
Mhm.
in particular. So I would love to do something in New York, man, because I think that'd
Oh,
be straight fire. A
wow.
lot of people
Oh
don't know
man,
about
yeah.
Yeah,
in New
sure.
York. You
You
know what I'm saying?
welcome
And
you.
I think that'd be
Come
straight
do that.
fire.
Hmm.
All right. I was trying to send a monetary super sticker. Something went wrong. I'll follow up. Okay. Thanks, Ladie.
Okay.
Whatever you can do. There's also, if you shop, you can go. We actually have our ETN Media Group store,
Hmm.
etnmediagroupstore.com too. It's also in the body of the description. You can go there. Whatever. We got Cash App. If you send us $1.50, I don't know. Whatever you can contribute, we greatly appreciate it.
That's
Okay.
it.
All right.
What's your cash app? Is it what's your cash app?
So
Is it
yeah, if you go to, it's at, let me see. I think I might have it somewhere around
okay?
here.
Hmm.
So you can go to our Cash App. Here's our Cash App here. It's in the
Oh yeah.
you
Okay.
see it at the bottom. So
Dollar
it's Cash
sign.
App
Uh-huh.
at dollar
Dollar
sign
sign.
ETN Media Group.
Eaton Media Group. Okay.
Yep.
There we
So
go.
that's it.
Good. All right.
Whatever
Yes.
anybody can do, penny, 2 pennies, it's all good, family. Like we really appreciate because hey, we understand as American freedmen, right? We
Uh-huh.
know the data, we know the statistics, right?
Yes. Yes.
We know that everybody's talking about bootstrapping and so forth. I mean, we are the most bootstrappingest people on the planet, and
Mm,
we
Listen.
still make it happen. So
that's
Amen.
right.
we can't
You're
cut
right
that
about
crap,
that.
family.
Yes.
All right, so I think two more comments, family, and we will wrap it up here. All right, one
Okay.
more like, share, and subscribe. And shout out to whoever put this in the YouTube. That's actually a link to our reparations now, but it should be in the body of the description as well
Mhm.
on this live stream as well. So once the
Okay.
live stream ends, there's a link in there as well that everybody can click on.
Oh, perfect.
Yes.
All right, family. So we are going to wrap it up. So I'm gonna let I don't know, Reverend Coachman, maybe you could say a few words, and I'll let Brother Divine say words,
Okay.
and we're gonna wrap it up because it is normally I'm like, okay, we're gonna go about 20 minutes. Obviously, it's not 20 minutes.
All
Right.
right.
So
Well,
and we usually say
okay.
we're gonna get to an hour,
Uh-huh.
and it usually don't hit an hour. So this is
Oh,
actually
okay.
an hour and a half is technically our usual, but we always try to wrap it up in an hour. But obviously we didn't do that. So we'll go
Right. Because
ahead if you can give a few words of advice, inspiration,
okay.
please, Reverend Coachman, and then we'll go Brother Divine, and then we'll wrap it up.
All right. Oh, I just want to first of all I want to thank you so much for having us on your show. And I mean, this is like I said before, you're doing a great work and it's much needed. So we appreciate you and all that you're doing and all those that work with you. And I just want to say that just for us to be encouraged, and we may sometimes things happen and kind of take us for a little loop, and may fall, but we got back up and we're getting back up and we're doing what we need to do. So I thank God for what he's doing. And I thank God for this time that he's turning things around. He's turning things around. And we may not see everything all at once, but even behind the scenes, God is working. So I'm just so
Mm.
grateful. And I know that he's going to make it happen. Reparations is going to happen.
You muted yourself.
You mute.
Reparations will happen, the Freedmen's Bureau will happen, other resources will happen. We are going to get what we need and what we deserve and what's owed us. So I'm grateful, and I thank God for all the grass, all of those who are on the grounds making it work, and for all of us coming together, knowing that we have something important to do. And forget about the titles. When I say titles, I mean what initials we have in front of our organizations. We're lineage. We're lineage based, and we are family, and we're going to stand together and do what we need to do to get the job done with the help of God and the help of our ancestors.
All right, Divine, your turn.
Man, come on! I had to go behind that. Reverend Coach dropping that. She dropping that spiritual fire, that old school fire, but no brimstone. The one thing I'll say is so funny. As she was talking, this came to my head. As she was just talking to give my inspiration, like I can't remember exactly who the songwriter. You know, as when when you preach and people say, I heard the songwriter say. So I don't know who the songwriter is, but I heard the songwriter say that a saint is just a sinner who fell down and then got up. And so I want to say that a reparationist is just an American freeman that got pushed down by the system, but then got up and kept the fight going for their ancestors. And so if that's you, you are a reparationist. And if that's you, join the fight. There's a place for you. Whether it's with the U.S. Freedmen Project, whether it's with ETM Media Group, whether it's with the organizations California, or you start your own. Like Reverend Coachman said, regardless of whatever delineating term you use, or whatever you name your organization, if you are fighting for those that were formerly enslaved and emancipated in the United States of America, you are a part of the family. And the movement needs you. And so I will just say that here in New York, we are the only organization fighting for lineage-based reparations. So if you're in New York, get up with us. Reach out to us. Our email address is admin@usfreemanproject.org. And our website is www.usfreemanproject.org. And on that note, what I will say is this. We have some stuff coming up. There's a local reparations task force being formed that we are in the works of putting our hands and getting our influence on at the city council level. Obviously, with all things going on with Eric Adams, we don't know which way that's going to go. But it doesn't become law unless he signs it. So we will keep our eyes on that and let you guys know what's going on with that. But I want to put this out publicly. Again, remember, November 12th from 4 to 8 is the first public hearing for this New York State Reparations Task Force that will be in Queens, New York at Roy Wilkins Park Community Center. And also on October 28th, this is to keep us honest and make sure we do our job. On October 28th here in New York, that is the official birthday or anniversary of the Statue of Liberty. And the U.S. Freeman Project is planning a public event / press conference to take the narrative back. To let people know who that statue was for, and that though you believe that this country is a country of immigrants, those immigrants were only allowed to come here after the American freedmen built it on our backs. And so that story needs to be told, and what better day than October 28th. It's going to be a Monday. We will keep you guys posted on those details, but those are two of the next big events going on in New York. October 28th. Is going to be a Statue of Liberty. Details to come. And November 12th in Roy Wilkins Park Community Center in Queens, New York from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. is the first public hearing. Come out, have your voices be heard, regardless of whatever your ideology or position is. And on that note, I will say this. We were freedmen then. We are freedmen still. And there's nothing like a freedman's will.
Yes. Amen.
Nothing like a freedman's will. Also, I just want to elaborate I guess some people just aren't built like that. So on that note, appreciate y'all. Man, you guys are doing great work out there in New York. Keep up the great work. And when you have a chance, if you do have any flyers, send it our way. We'll go ahead and put it up. And then if you could just remind us, I know you said next upcoming, or the first public hearing out for reparations is going to be November 12th. So just give us a heads up on that. Maybe even we'll get you back on. Just give us some, updates, what's happening. I don't know, maybe during or after or something. Maybe we'll do it after so you can kind of give us a rundown of what happened at that meeting or something like that with the family.
Absolutely.
But yeah, just keep us informed, man. Just keep us up. We'll do the same, because at the end of the day, right, just in my opinion, I know we're all fighting local reparations, but we're looking for that big federal reparations, that big federal check, right? But we can all do something locally, either municipally wise or statewide or whatever. So thanks once again, Brother Divine, for coming through, and Reverend Coachman. As always, take care of yourself. And for everyone, please, once again, like, share, and subscribe. If you haven't, hit that like button, do that algorithm, make that algorithm go, see if we can get, more views on this wonderful work that our good brothers and sisters are doing out there in New York. All right, so I guess that's it. Actually, there's one more. Y'all still doing comments, so let me just it's pretty good too. Y'all doing comments last minute, you know how we do. Okay, I'm going to start going to the hearings for the Chicago and Illinois Reparations Commission. I'll email about coming on here. Please do, Michelle. We greatly
Hey, yes, that's great.
Please do, because this is how we connect, right?
Right.
I mean, this is also a community platform too, right? So this is how we connect, disseminate information to our families so everybody can be aware of what's going on across the nation. That's one reason why we decided to create this media platform.
Yeah, well, thank you so much.
Thank you, family. All right, on that note, as always, you guys take care of yourself, you and your family, and we are out. Peace and definitely reparations. So take care of yourself, and we are out.
The way it currently stands, forced labor, slavery takes precedence over rehabilitation and public safety.
Oh, by the way, while the Biden administration gives reparations to everyone but free people, look at the billions he has run over to Ukraine.
We don't have black grocery stores because if you think about it now, just to get in that supply chain, it's almost unheard of.
They don't want the truth to get out. Okay? I don't want to know what my family did or what all these people did and all this stuff like that. Okay? You read that 500-page report.
There's this thing called white superiority and black inferiority. That mindset allows all of the behaviors that we've seen across generations, allows for the construction of these policies and practices and systems and structures that continue to oppress us. This is not a handout. This is a debt that is owed.
Allensworth was like the internet of his time in 1904, 1905.
The total black population in California is about 2.6 million, and then of that, the descendants compose about 2.2 million of that. So California, with a multi-billion-dollar surplus, can absolutely afford to satisfy the international terms for reparations, beginning with compensation.
Any financial obstacle that exists that impedes the success of increasing financial prosperity needs to be dealt with and eliminated.
No matter where we've been, no matter what part of this fight we've been in, we've been harmed, and we've had harm done to us specifically.
When I got to Los Angeles, this was some of the worst segregation I'd ever seen. And remember, I'm telling you, I'm from Mississippi.
Because as you can see, I'm giving you broken history right now, but I had to give it to you guys today. I said, no, I got to show them this because it's so precious and nobody really knows about it.
Black people don't have that kind of luxury. Our historically black communities have been redistricted multiple times.
Now listen, if you can't handle the TR roof, don't tune in.